My name is Jenny Nargis and I'm a convert and I'm from Denmark. I grew up in a small village, not that many people, small community, mainly Danish, not really any kind of foreigners. My mom was one of two foreigners, you can say, in my village. She's from the Philippines and there was another man as well, so they were the only two kind of adding any ethnicity to the community. So I grew up in a small family. My mom, my dad, my sister and me went to school in the same place where I grew up for about 7 years. And then I moved on to the neighbor city and continued my schooling there until I finished my, I think what you call primary education here in England. My mom and dad, they're both from a Christian background. My dad is from a Christian church. My mom was a Catholic, from the Catholic church, and when she met my dad and married, and they were pregnant with me, they decided that she would change to the Protestant church that he was from. So she did that, and I grew up in the local, going to the local church where we lived. And I was in the church choir, I was baptized, I had my confirmation there. I mean, you know, our food would be different. We would have different food, we'd eat lots of rice, and my mom would have her friends from with the same background as her coming to visit us. And we'd have, in the house, it would be two different communities coming together. And then obviously when I went to school, I would have my Danish friends, we would play. So outside it was just, I didn't really feel that different. Obviously in our house, you know, my mom being Catholic, maybe her way of upbringing us was maybe a bit stricter, or things to do, or what was accepted, not accepted. That might have been a bit different, but otherwise. I was part of the church choir when I was about maybe from 12 years old. It was kind of, you know, when you're a child, you want to go to things, you want to go for a sport, or you want to go for some kind of dancing. So I did these things, and then I was also in the choir. And I don't think my parents were specifically religious. We had Christmas and these kinds of events where we knew what it was for, like Easter, what happened on Easter, what Christmas was about for Jesus Christ's birthday. But it's not like we had a prayer, or they weren't orthodox in any way. I would say my mom, she had that Catholic culture behind her that's quite strong, you know. Oh, you should get married, you should have education, these things that are quite strong with them, she would have, but I wouldn't say in a religious way, no. I would say when I was younger, from my mother's side, there would definitely be a bit more of these words coming up, especially with Easter, with my mom's dad when he passed away. She would mention things like she had like an altar, you can say, like her own corner in her bedroom, where she would have pictures of Virgin Mary, small prayer books. And with Easter, we would always gather around the TV, we would watch movies about the crucifixion, the death of the Prophet Isa alayhi salam. I wouldn't say not, just with these kinds of events, these kind of days, holidays. It's actually quite funny because I was thinking about this leading up to this interview, about the thoughts I'd had about Islam and how I knew about Islam when I was younger. And I actually used to play these games with my sister, and I have no idea how it got to my head, but we would play that we were Muslims. And one would be the wife, one would be the man, and we would be all about, you know, that they wear a scarf, put on a scarf on your head and play. And I don't know if it's from TV, maybe my parents had some kind of conversation where I heard the word Muslims. But I was quite aware of that they were Muslims and they covered their head. quite early on. When I got to, our schooling system is a little bit different than England, but I guess it's equivalent to college here. When I got to college, I had a normal schooling, friends, a school, whatever, normal kind of lifestyle. And I think that it was a combination of me always being drawn to this Islam, being a Muslim, what it was about, and also the fact that my mom's culture was different than my friends. Like my mom, she would be like, you shouldn't, like alcohol, these things, you shouldn't be too involved in these things. And then you have the community outside that's all about these things. And I think that's when I actually started thinking about what I thought was good for myself. And it wasn't necessarily about, oh, I should be a Muslim, because I don't think that even struck my head. I just think that it was the beginning of me trying to find a good life for myself. I would just be a bit confused about these things with my friends, that I wasn't really agreeing on the lifestyle that they had. And I think that was the beginning where I was like starting to be a bit, okay, I'm different, this is not really for me. I want something else. I don't know what it is, but I wasn't just agreeing on certain things. So I just continued my school, finished my school, continued growing up. I went to uni. And I think actually in uni, that's when I actually first had my encounter with Muslims. There were some girls in my class. So when we had our lunch break, they had the whole halal thing going on with the food. And when they discussed if they're going to go eat somewhere, or it had to be halal. And I was like, what is this about halal? When they had Ramadan, they weren't eating. And I was like, that must be so difficult. Why? Why are they not eating? What's this whole thing about? And at the same time, they were extremely educated, well-spoken, really, promising young women. So it was quite interesting, to see as well when I went home to their houses, to see how everything functions. And that's some of the few friends that I actually made that were Muslims. But it wasn't like I wasn't talking to them about Islam, about being a Muslim or anything. It wasn't really in my mind. When it started to come into my mind, I mostly did research, like online, on books. I would ask people questions, but I've never been, friends with Muslims before, and these kind of school people were not really close friends. So I'd ask them things and stuff, but it was mostly inside me that things were going on, that I was wondering, I was thinking, and somehow it just started growing on me a bit, because I've always been drawn to it. For some reason, since I've been small, I've always been drawn to it. Maybe because it's unknown or different. But I started doing some research. I would look up online. I would borrow library books. I would talk to people. I met a few other converted girls, and I wasn't wearing a scarf, so they can't see that. They don't know what I am, what I'm thinking. But I would just try and kind of question them out a bit about why why are you a Muslim. So slowly, very slowly, I started to just increase my knowledge about being a Muslim, what Islam is, what it means, what the religion means, everything about being a Muslim. I was just really taken by it, and I just started taking everything in. I would just go to a website and I would just copy everything in my head. And it just seemed so logical to me. Nothing was a problem. I could understand it perfectly. And I was like, this is really amazing. Every aspect of life it just embraces. And I think that coming from a Christian background, You have very similar points to Islam with the 10 commandments that you shouldn't kill, you shouldn't drink, you shouldn't lie. It's just as if Islam took over, and it just embraced it and took it to the next level of to make it complete. Everything about your life was taken care of. So it just seemed a bit too good. And once, I think when I was at this stage, I was really getting nervous because I was like, oh, what are you getting yourself into? Muslims aren't exactly popular, It's not like they don't have a good reputation. They still don't, if not even worse. So I was thinking, if I do this, forget about doing it. I was like, don't even think about it. But if I even start thinking about this direction, changing my life, it's not going to be good. I'll get lots of trouble. My parents are going to make huge, it's going to be a problem. No, I can't do that. I can't do that. So I was like, forget it. Don't start thinking about this. You're just you're having a period some kind, and just don't think about it. So actually, by force, by myself, I was like, no, don't think about it. Leave it. You're not going to start messing things up, making problems. No, you're not going to do that. So I left it, and in this period, I was like, I don't want anything to do with Muslims. I don't want to meet any Muslims. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to think a word that could lead to thinking about Islam. So I did that for a period, and I started feeling very, 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 I didn't feel well at all. I felt really bad. It was hurting in my heart. And when I realized that it was actually gone to my heart, I was like, oh, you're in trouble, you're really in trouble. Oh, your mom and dad are gonna freak, they're really it's gonna be a problem, So after I kind of realized that I liked it, that I liked what I was experiencing, what I was kind of developing inside me, I continued a bit again. I continued just gaining knowledge. I got a few more closer friends, you can say. I actually got to experience to go to a masjid, a mosque, and actually wore a scarf that day. And I didn't know how to wear a scarf properly. It was probably a mess, and I didn't know anything, but I went there and I just thought, this is just amazing. It's just amazing. There was not really a lot of people there, but I just felt peaceful. You sit on the carpet, and it was just very beautiful. The reason why I was searching for something different is because I didn't feel that. I remember feeling when I was in college, is this really it? Is this life? Is this really it? It didn't feel complete to me. It just felt like it can't be it. There must be more than this. Especially, when you come from the Christian church. So many times you would ask them questions. You wouldn't get a straight answer. I feel that being a woman, coming to Islam and discovering how Islam treats a woman really empowers you and gives you so much of freedom, and it encourages you to do the best that you can in every way, but at the same time protects you, and it doesn't pressure you in ways that our mothers have been pressured to have a home, have the children, raise up the children, have a full-time job, and everything is just laid upon them. And when I discovered Islam, I thought reading about the woman and also eventually the hijab, it makes sense. When you come from a Christian, Catholic background, there's two sides to it. There's the cultural side and there's the religious side. Now, the religious side it has, in a way, everything, but it doesn't really it doesn't grab around it. Whereas when you come to Islam, it really actually takes an action. It tells you, for example, how when you earn money, you should pay these Islamic taxes, you should pay the poor rate. It just takes it further. So that's one thing that led me to Islam. It completes it. That's why I actually decided to change, because it's not enough to say you shouldn't kill, you shouldn't lie, you shouldn't steal, and people are like, yeah, okay, and they'll go and stab someone or whatever. But it's different with Islam. I can't explain the way it embraces it and explains you, and it's so logical, and it's all for the sake of you. There's this whole love bound around the religion that people might not see always, especially in the media and these things. But there's just so much heart with Islam. So there must be the reason why most people convert, especially for me. I remember, this is probably, I'm jumping a bit, but when I first time went to a masjid, and that was actually a Shia masjid, and they had Ashura, and I was just blown away, because obviously the room was parted. There was the women here and the men here, but you could kind of see the men here, and I could hear them, and grown-up women and men were crying their hearts out. And I was like, this is not the Islam that you hear about. How can grown-up people cry? And then for someone that's not even here anymore. I mean, we don't even remember our Queen's forefathers. So it's everything about it was just so mind-blowing and extreme, especially in the beginning when a revert actually reverts to Islam. It's very extreme, and you just want to know everything. And when I saw that, I was just blown away. So there's just so many things about the religion that actually, it just fulfills it. It takes it and makes it 100%. It doesn't leave you anywhere. You always have your rights, no matter if you're a man or a woman. And these rights coming from Western society, they've changed. It's as if, the rights that they have, that I used to have, I guess, they're supposed to be what's good for you. But when you actually turn it around and you start looking at it, it's just not, and it's not good for you, and it doesn't help you in any way, and it doesn't promote you being a woman, because I can't speak for the man, but being a woman, it doesn't promote you, it doesn't help you. On the contrary, it just uses you, and it doesn't give you equality at all. When I decided, one of my friends asked me, because they knew that I was interested, they're like, so what's up with it? What do you want? Are you gonna do it, or you don't say anything? And I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I said my shahada, and after that I was, it's a constant development. But at that time I was like, if I'm gonna be a Muslim, I still want to be accepted in society. I don't want to create any problems for myself just because I'm a Muslim. So I wanted to dress a certain way still. But as you grow and you read and you develop your Islam, I decided, especially because Islam is all about modesty, I quickly changed my views. When I became a Muslim, you always develop yourself, and I'm still developing myself. But at that time, it was an early stage, so I didn't want to change my way of my outside appearance, especially in front of friends and family and these things. But slowly, as you read about what actually Islam says about hijab and the concept of hijab, not just the scarf, but the hijab for man and woman, and what it does to a society, that's when I started to develop my own hijab as well, and understand the meaning of modesty and what it carries with it. So when I started wearing hijab, I actually went on like a small shopping trip myself, and I bought things that I thought, oh, this is gonna make me still accepted in society, and yeah, this looks really nice. But then after a time I was like, it's actually really hard to dress yourself inside what you believe in and still be fitted in society. So I just interpret it the way I do. I wear what I feel is I can accept.